More on the U.S.-China relations, let's bring in CGTN's global economics analyst, Saruhan Hatipoglu. Hey, Saruhan, great to see you again.
Good to see you, Sean.
A lot to talk about, although a lot of people are already downplaying any kind of expectations coming out of Shanghai over the next couple of days. But you have to admit that right now, the trade tensions, the ongoing trade war, it is now having its effect on the global economy. What do people hope for out of Shanghai?
Absolutely. And have you seen this movie, Sean? Because I remember watching this movie a couple of times in the past
We've seen it,
6 months or so. Yeah. So we're back to full circle to where we are now. But as you mentioned, the global economy right now is more fragile. But not only the global economy, if you look at the individual economies of the United States and China, we had data very recently. You're seeing both countries are trying to show the positives around here. But if you look at the data itself, if you dig into the data, you're seeing that both countries are slowing down. Trade war is not helping anybody, not only U.S., China, the region, overall the global economy. In terms of being optimistic, yes, there's still chance to get the talks advancing. But I think President Trump said it right. With the elections coming up, Chinese will be waiting. They'll be waiting to see what's going to happen. So there'll be baby steps towards some kind of an agreement, but not a full one yet.
You're talking about, we're seeing the numbers between the United States and China. Year to year, the exports between the two nations are down significantly. It's not a good sign. And one thing I found interesting is a general tone in the media that nobody expects a breakthrough in Shanghai right now, but to keep the situation from escalating before 2020. Because you know, the way this administration has been operating in Washington, one can presume that the rhetoric is only going to heat up.
That's very true. So the goal was, and we talked about this right before Osaka, that the goal was to stabilize the situation, stop the bleeding, let the patient live. There will be some injuries, yes, but you've got to let the patient live. And that's where we are right now. We have to make sure that the talks are ongoing. There's nothing else that we could expect at this point. Anybody who says, oh, there's going to be a comprehensive deal before the U.S. elections, I don't know what they're reading, what they're thinking, but that's not going to happen. When I was in, about 2 months ago or so, I said, in the short term, we're going to see some positive developments. My short-term horizon is about 1 year and 2. So with the economies weakening, for both countries as well as the global economy, I think there will be some steps being taken at the trade numbers level. We're not expecting anything beyond that, the two parties coming into agreement.
It was interesting to hear U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo today say that China and the U.S. are getting along in other aspects beside trade. But at the same time, the Trump administration is pushing back on this category that China and other developing nations fall in the WTO. The Trump administration says it gives them unfair advantages and now is trying to have China removed as a developing nation. What is going to be the fallout from this?
Well, there's going to be a lot of discussions on that, but it's not going to happen, I can tell you that. Look, it is true that China has, if you look at 20 years ago versus now, it's a huge development. Right. Poverty, the numbers, poverty numbers, if you look at it, they've done an amazing job. But it's also a big country and they're opening up. So if you're a big country and you're opening up, you're not going to do this fast, and you're going to take advantage of certain deals that are given to you.
And it is a developing nation.
It is a developing nation. In a lot of ways, it's a developing nation. And if you actually take away that support from China and ask China to open up the way Washington is asking them to do, we're going to see a downfall of the economy. So it is going to take some time. It's still going to be in the same status. It's just rhetoric we're hearing.
You know, Saruhan, it's also interesting to me, being around D.C. as long as you have, that leaks are a time-honored tradition here. But we haven't heard much in terms of the trade discussions, the information coming out. Why is it so secretive, and what do you make of that?
Well, it is secretive because both sides don't know exactly what the other side wants. And it's really important to go back when this first started. President Trump wanted to be out in the open, public, tweeting and talking about all of these things. He still does it from time to time. But right now, both countries are realizing that this issue, in one way or another, it's not going to be resolved fully, but one way or another, needs to progress. Because if it doesn't, then we're going to see the economic numbers that we see today and hope that, you know, we're going to actually wish that we were meeting those numbers come the third and fourth quarter of this year.
So all we can hope for is to keep moving forward.
Stabilize, move forward, let the patient live.
Saruhan, thanks very much. We'll talk to you again soon.